Are we already on? Wow,
Yes,
mine. Okay, mine's got to be
I see
going
you
a little.
live right now.
Okay, yeah, mine's got to be lagging a little bit. There we go. Okay, CEO, we got a couple people. You might want to mute. Are you aware of that? So the Facebook, if you to look at the chat, you have to enlarge it, and typically it'll start with sound. Hey, Jeremy, welcome aboard, man. Thanks for joining us. Iman, how are you, man? See, I remembered. You corrected me last time. I almost said it wrong, but I corrected myself. Welcome everybody. So I got with me Cole Randall, and he's going to be helping me with the follow up just to get some engagement going to help me out with the questions. So before we get started, I want to encourage everyone to get into. I'm going to put a post here, which is going to have everything that you need to on the links that I'm going to plug in right now. So we have my YouTube channel, which is I'm actually going to be starting a new YouTube channel called Sales Sidelines. But for now, it will be inside of my, Virgil Reyes YouTube channel. That's the one that I have linked here. If you could please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. The all the information that you need to, as far as like the documents that we're going to be sharing in this training, is going to also be inside of the description. So if it gets buried inside of this group, because we will be doing these trainings every single week, I make sure that you go to my YouTube channel. You'll be able to find it by whatever topic of the discussion is about, which today it will be on follow up. And along with follow up, I want to talk about how to prevent having to get into a follow up, right? And in most cases, you might have to get onto a follow up, especially if you're doing a lot of outbound calling. And the higher the price or the higher ticket your sales is, the more likely it's going to be a follow up. So keep that in mind. And I also want to, if you know anybody that you know would benefit from this sales training group, please invite them to my group. You're more than welcome to invite whoever you want, as long as there's somebody that you know would benefit from this group. Also, check inside of the Facebook group. If you look in the topics section, I have a topic that's titled Starter Pack. And that starter pack, what it does is it kind of takes you through a few things. So I gave you an evaluation sheet, which will help you to self evaluate, meaning that when you're with a role play partner, if they're not sure how to give you feedback, you can use that sheet to kind of guide them, and it'll help you also to get to the next level. Like, what do I need to do to improve my skills? And this is going to be a very clean cut, precise way of how to get to that next level. You'll also have inside of the description section a video that will teach you how to find opportunities with influencers or business owners that are looking for closers. And it does tell you, it instructs you on how to develop your LinkedIn profile so that you're attracting influencers on autopilot. And I give that to you freely because I know how difficult it is to find opportunities in most cases. But if you follow that video, you'll notice that let's just say this, if you develop your LinkedIn profile the way that I have mine, the more of a qualified influencer you will be getting. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Also, I have a program for anybody that does struggle with influencers. That's one thing that we're not taught with sales training. And that's something that I include. So it's everything outside of what we learn in sales, what we need to know about getting onto opportunities, qualifying the influencers, and making sure that we're successful and putting money in your pocket on those opportunities. So take a look at that on influencersunlimited.com. And also, me myself, if you don't know who I am, my name is Virgil Reyes. I've been in remote sales now for over 18 months. Been a very long struggle of a journey trying to figure out how to get things going. Originally, as I have told you before, I joined online sales just to make a little bit of extra money, but saw the potential and realized that this was something that I wanted to devote my full time into. However, when I joined, I was told that I could find opportunities very easily, and it's not so easy. So that's something that I do want to share with you, as well as make sure that you understand that some of the sales trainings that we go through is not enough to be successful in these opportunities that you have. So I want to be able to diversify everything that you have as far as your closing techniques to ensure that you're successful on any opportunity that you're on. And even if you have any questions about an opportunity and you're not sure and you think maybe it might make you money, I'm more than happy to help you out. And I'm sure many of the people inside of this group would be as well. And I brought here with me Cole Randall. Cole, if you could just introduce yourself a little bit, tell us about yourself, anything that you have to add to this sales training on follow-up. I would love to hear everything that you have to say about yourself, brother. And thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely, Virgil. Thank you so much for having me. So I've been through some of the similar trainings as Virgil as well when it comes to sales training. I do want to touch on, Virgil, that training that you talk about LinkedIn, on how to set your profile for LinkedIn. I remember one time you were doing that and you were inviting people in. I was actually one of those honored guests. I got to be a part of that training with you live, and I actually changed my LinkedIn profile. I implemented exactly what you taught. And literally within the next week, I had 6 influencers contact me trying to get me to close for them. And unfortunately for them, I was already on a closing team by then, so I didn't need to. And I ended up having to change my LinkedIn profile just to kind of minimize how many influencers are trying to get me to close for them, because I could not take the opportunities. I was basically delegating them, like, hey, I know these other salespeople that can close for you. Is that okay if I get you in contact with them? And I was reaching out to other salespeople that I knew and getting them in contact with each other. That is how powerful the thing that the LinkedIn video that Virgil was talking about, that's how powerful it really is. They see your profile and they start contacting you saying, hey, could you close for me? Could you do sales for me? And some of them you're going to disqualify. Some of them you're going to take in. So thank you, Virgil, for that. I highly suggest you guys go into the description and check that out. And so I've been closing for a little over a year and a half, close to 2 years now as well. And I actually recently stepped down from closing for an influencer and started closing for my own self. And so that's what I've been doing lately. And when it comes to follow-ups and everything, I do it a little bit differently than probably most people will, and most people trainings some of you may be familiar with. But anyways, Virgil, let's get into it. What you got for me?
All right, great. So there was quite a few questions that were pulled up here. Let me see if I can take a look at it. So Um, we did have Shali. She brought up a good point that she does forget to follow up, and that's very understandable because we're not taught how to follow up with people, right? It's just mainly the closing, and all they really took us through in the training is how to get through the call, and that's it. But beyond that, unless you've taken any kind of advanced training, you really don't know. So that's a very good question that you brought up there. Shali, Rahul, and then also Wenda brought up that influencers, or I'm sorry, prospects grow cold during the prospect. Once they get off of the phone call, they do grow cold. That's a very good point as well. We have other points like no shows, like in other words, they just ghost you, right? And then you have, how do we stay in their minds? How do we keep ourselves, or how do we keep them engaged with us so that we keep them nurtured? I think that's a good way to put it. And then Daryl said that in most cases that he's had prospects that have been dishonest with them and say, yeah, I'm interested. Give me a call back. I promise I'll get back on the phone with you and we'll go through the sales process. And of course he follows up and then gets ghosted. Very good. Very good question. And even you, Cole, I'm sorry, even you, Cole, had asked, what's going to be the procedure for follow-up? So I put a little something together that's going to help out everybody. Again, everything that you need to, the documents are inside of the description. It will be linked to the like as far as like the lives, and that way you can just go back. Like if you want to just find out about follow-up, you can go back to this one, or if you want to go back to like the scripts for the introductions for the cold calling or warm to hot leads like we had last week in the training, then you can just look up the lives, and then it'll show you all the videos that we've had, and then you could just plug in the search engine what you're looking for specifically. But I'm going to share my screen now so that way I can show you what I've got over here. Let me just get it all set up here. Okay, so all right, so the first thing that I want to talk about actually before we get into some of these things is that when it comes to follow-up, there's a prevention. So, Cole, just out of curiosity, what do you think would be the best strategy to prevent a follow-up situation where they just jump off of the phone? What do you think are some things that we could do? If you don't mind answering that question, I think that would add a lot of value, especially because you've been closing for 18 months. What would you do in that situation? What have you learned?
That's a really good question, actually. So, how to prevent from even needing to follow up in the first place? So, the way I like to do it, actually, I'm very different. I'm very enthusiastic when I'm on the phone, and usually this is not how people like to be whenever it's in sales. But I set up by actually pre-selling myself as the person instead of trying to pre-sell the product or pre-sell the offer. I most oftentimes pre-sell me as the person, as someone that they can trust and like and care for, someone that actually cares about them and their success. And by doing that, it doesn't eliminate for per se, because I'm not sure you could really, and that I know of any ways to completely eliminate needing to follow up with people. However, what it does is it gives me the opportunity to be welcomed in my follow-up. So when I do follow up with them, they are welcome me in. They welcome me in. They're not like, oh, here's this salesperson trying to hit me up again. They're welcome. They're like, wow, hey, here's this guy again. Here's Cole. Okay, what's up, man? How are you doing? And they're more likely to engage with me because I've pre-sold them on Cole Randall, not the product. That's how I operate.
And that's actually a very, very good point, because whenever people are buying, they're not actually buying the product. Yeah, it is something that helps them to solve a problem, or it helps them to achieve a goal. But more importantly, what they do is they buy the trust that they have, that you've built with them through the rapport, through any kind of techniques. And I'm going to go through some of those techniques here with all of you today, as well as I did have a question now as far as because I know that there's, especially in higher ticket, you're always going to have a prospect that says, you know what, I don't really have the money right now. Can we wait till payday or something along those lines? And so there's not really much we can do there on the phone call. So we do have to follow up. What do you think would be some effective ways that you could share and your experience on how to follow up with, or how to get them to commit to the follow up, I should say?
So one of the things I like to do is I actually operate more on a personal, social level. So if I could get their permission to basically add them on LinkedIn, maybe we're already friends on LinkedIn, or maybe we're already friends on Facebook. And if not, I would get their permission. Hey, man, you seem like a really cool guy. You seem like a really cool person. Would you be okay if I sent you a friend request on Facebook or something like that if we're not already friends? And most of the time, people, because of my rapport that I've pre-sold them on by this point, they're like, yeah, dude, yeah, go ahead. And what I do in my follow-ups is I actually don't send emails to follow up with people. I will send Facebook Messenger messages or LinkedIn messages. And before I do, I actually have a method, I have a process that I follow. And so the next day I will comment on their posts if they have any. Usually people are posting and they're commenting, they're doing their thing on social media, right? Or LinkedIn. And so I actually engage with it. Man, that's such a great post. I really like this post, man. It resonates with me. And now they're like, oh, hey, there's that dude again. There's Cole Randall again. All right. And I'll do this to about 2 or 3 of their posts the next day, or maybe 2 days later, something like that. Obviously you don't want to be pushy. And then I will carry a conversation with them inside their post if possible. And by carrying that conversation, I get their permission to message them. Hey, bro, I'd like to connect with you more about this. Is it okay if I message you? And usually by this point, because I've built so much rapport and then I'm commenting on their post or their LinkedIn post or Facebook post, now they're like, yeah, dude, you can message me. And so now I'm not walking up to their house and opening their door and walking in. I'm knocking on their door. Hey, is this okay? Hey, is it okay if I come in? And people are usually inviting. They're like, yeah, come on in, brother. Now, the way I message them is way different than the way most people do. I use a lot of body language in my communications with people. So I send a video and I will just I know this might be a little bit too much, Virgil. Let me know if I need to calm down a little bit. Is this
Go ahead.
okay?
You're absolutely okay.
All right. So I'll send a video to them, and there's 3 things that people really are attracted to. They love it when you say their name correctly. So if you could say their name correctly, that right there is building massive rapport even after you've already talked to them. So you're following up now. You still remember their name. Obviously, you see their name. So say their name correctly. The second thing, smile. Give them a nice big smile, a real smile, not a, hey, how are you doing? And then nice big smile. They love that. The smile does something to the subconscious mind that I don't know what it is, but people just like it. And we all know this. We've probably heard this, of psychology, how powerful a smile is. And now my level of enthusiasm. Now I have a slight higher level than enthusiasm than typical people. So, and I show that in my video, and I'll just say a simple video, and it could be like 10 seconds. Like, seriously, I got their permission to walk in their house. They've invited me in at this point. Okay, now here's a video. I literally pull up my phone and I just like, hey, what's up, John? How are you doing today, brother? I really like that post, man. I just wanted to follow up with you and see how everything's going. How are you doing, brother? And I smile and I say their name. And by doing that, most of the time I get videos back. I get recordings back like, oh, man, thank you so much for sending me that video. That is so awesome. And by doing that, the rapport is building. The rapport never stops. The rapport never stops. For every follow-up you do, you're building more and more rapport. This is what I mean by I do follow-ups differently. You probably may have never heard of anybody doing follow-ups like this, but this is how I do it. And it works tremendously. People love it.
You know what? That's a great point. And I actually did not have that anywhere inside of the follow-up. So that's massive value that you just added to this group. And I really appreciate that. And yeah, I remember the last time that you sent me a video, I thought that it was amazing. I was like, hey, and I think I was getting ready for bed or something like that with my daughter. And so I just sent you a little voice message. But I think that that's a tremendous way to follow up with people. I actually wrote that down. Connecting with them on Facebook, on LinkedIn, because that's something that I actually have not implemented myself. So now, as far as thanks for that again. So one of the things that I want to touch on and let everybody know about is whenever you're with them on the phone call, there's certain steps that we take to kind of lock the sale in. So when they show an interest, they show their buying signs, they're talking to you on the phone call, then one of the things that I like to do is what we call the lock it down method, which is just basically walking them through the whole situation. Some people might know it as micro commitments, but it's let's say, for example, actually, if you can in the chat, if you have any situation that you want to come up with, maybe we can like do like a small little role play about that. But if you have a situation where you want to, like a closing situation where you've been in and then you just get ghosted right afterwards, let us know, put in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and play it out. But I'm going to explain it to you here just to give you a good example. So let's say, for example, if you could, Cole, why don't we go through like a small role play, and I'll play the closer, of course. But what we're going to do here is we're going to say that this is going to be a program on marketing through Instagram. It's something that's very hot, but you're just a prospect trying to figure out. And we're just going to take it all the way past, like, we already know the needs. I'm going to assume that I know like the problem that you're facing, and um, also the goals that you're trying to achieve. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lock it down with you at the very end where you say, yeah, but you know what? Can we wait till next week? And you can make up any excuse that you want. Sound good?
So I want to start doing Instagram marketing, right?
Yeah, this is a program on Instagram marketing. Let's say
Okay.
it's $1,500, but you want to wait until next week to get paid. And of course, whenever we do these calls, we don't do them on video, so you're gonna see the body language that we have. But I mean, in reality, they're not gonna be able to go off of that, right? So let's start off, or let's continue where I would say. I'm stacking the value. So one of the things that I like to do is value stacking. So say, one of the benefits is that a lot of these programs that you see out there for Instagram, believe it or not, that are not as popular as ours, actually, people have known to invest anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000. However, because we are such a hot hit and a lot of people are buying our program, what I'm going to do today, Randall, is I'm going to let you have it at $1,500 and include the bonuses that I had we had spoken about earlier. So is there now, like, as far as like your decision, because it sounds like to me like you're very interested, but on a scale from 1 to 10, where would you say you are on that scale to move forward today?
Oh, today, on a scale 1 to 10, I mean, when it comes to moving forward today, I'm kind of low on that scale. I'd say maybe a 4, and it really comes down to the price, honestly. Like I just moved to this new house with my family, my wife and kids, and so
Mhm.
we had a lot of expenses going on, through the move, paying for a U-Haul and everything, and it just kind of I don't really have the money right now, so I can't do it today. But I mean, maybe I don't know. I could probably come up with it. I get paid Friday, so maybe sometime next week.
Okay,
What do you think?
so yeah, I mean, I understand. That's totally understandable. Now, when it comes to the money, you said that you know you you're hoping for a better deal. Is that correct? More than the $1,500 that I had discussed with you. Is that correct?
Uh, well, I mean, if I could even get a better deal, yeah. I mean, why not?
Okay. What if I made it absolutely irresistible for you to say that it would be so irresistible for you that there's no way that you can say no, because the number one goal that we want for you, Randall, or I'm sorry, Cole, is to make sure that whenever you're marketing on Instagram, that you're very successful. And if you look at our testimonials, you'll notice that a lot of people have found a lot of success, and we want to make sure that you pick the right program, you're saving your money, and also making sure that you're um, your money is well invested, and it's also making you back a return. That's something that we have a guarantee on. So let me ask you this: if I was able to take a deposit right now, like as far as like a better deal, I can't really give it to you, but we're the best deal out there as far as like results go. But let's say, for example, if I was to just take a deposit today and we could wait till next Friday, is that something that you'd be willing to move forward with today?
I mean, potentially, yeah. What kind of deposit are we talking?
I don't know, let's say $500.
Um, so $500 today, and then the rest, $1,000, and say next week.
Yeah, exactly, when you get paid.
Hmm. Yeah, I could probably pull that one off.
Okay, great. So, what's your credit card number? And I can get you signed up right now with the deposit. I'll give you a receipt. And let's say, for example, next week comes along, once you get paid, then you pay the rest, and then we'll get you started. In fact, I'm going to get you started in some of our bonuses right now for the deposit. But here's the thing, Cole, is that I don't ever sign up anybody unless they're 100% sure that they're going to come in. So I understand that you're willing right now today to leave a deposit with us and move forward with us, but um, you're not going to come back next week and tell me, hey, look, Virgil, I just decided not to do it, because I know how important this is to you, of course, to launch your marketing on an Instagram. We will want to make sure that you're successful in doing so, but we're not gonna move you forward if you're not 100% sure that you're going to move forward with this.
No, I'm definitely not going to be telling you next week that no, I can't do it. If I put $500 today and we start the process, and you're gonna, like you said, you would get me a little bit of access to the material,
Mhm.
then yeah, I'll definitely be ready next week to pay
Okay.
the rest.
Okay. And what day are we talking about? Like, when's your payday?
I get paid Friday, so Friday morning I'll be paid.
Next week, Friday morning. Okay. What time are we talking? Like, I'm an early. I'm a morning person, so I'm up 7 a.m. I don't know what time that would be good for you. What time would be good for you for a phone call?
I'm an early person too. I don't know, say maybe around 8 a.m. Would that work?
8 o'clock. I can do that, right? Okay. So you mean to tell me that when I call next week on 8 a.m., you'll be ready to make the payment? You're not going to tell me, hey, look, Virgil, I just can't do it. It's not going to be any excuses like that, right?
No, no,
Mhm.
I'll be ready.
Okay. Is there any reason you think that anything that might come up that might prevent you from answering that phone call, other than, of course, the unexpected, like an emergency or something like that? Like, would there be any reason why you think you might miss that appointment?
Mm, no, not that I could really think of. Not right now, no.
Okay, great. So what I'll do, I have confidence in you that you're going to be there next week for our call, and I do look forward to that. And I want to make sure that you get started. So right now, I just want to confirm that I have the email address, and then we go through the email address and the card number, and then move forward. But that's the lockdown. You want to make sure that they are not having any excuses at the very end to move backwards. Now, if Cole had decided to say, um, you know what, I don't have the money for the deposit. Let's run that through real quick, because no matter what, it's still a follow up. So you're not going to give me any money today, and it's still the same program and everything. But we're just gonna kind of pick up from that moment when I told you, what if you were to put $500 down, and you say, you know what, I can't do $500. Can I just give it all to you next week, and we'll just continue from there? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, I understand. I understand it was a little unexpected. It was really more for discovery for you on this call. But I mean, you're telling me that if you had that money right now, you had that $1,500 right now in your pocket, knowing that this would provide you the results that you needed to for your marketing on Instagram, you would invest it right now, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. So just to show a little faith, is there anything that you had in mind, like a dollar amount that you could put down as a deposit? And what I'd like to do is just talk to my superiors and find out, see if that's something that's possible. But what number could you come up with that would be reasonable for you? That's not going to hurt your pockets.
Oh man. Mm, I'm really not sure. We're really tight this week. I'm not even sure I could put anything down.
It's yeah. Well, I understand. Sometimes that happens. Okay, not a problem. So we typically don't do this, Cole, but I like you. I like you a lot. I have faith in what you're about to do in your marketing. I love what you presented to me as far as like your business model, and I think it's going to be very, very successful. And we want to make sure that it's a success through marketing inside of Instagram. So, tell you what I would like to do is I would like to reach out to my manager and find out if there's something that we can do to hold your position. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, but we only take in 200 students per month, and right now we're pretty much at the very end of that, because the classes of course start every 15th of every month, right? So we only have a few seats left. The last time I checked, from my understanding, is that there were still about 25 seats left, but chances are that there might not be as many by next week. So if I can reserve that spot for you, you mean to tell me that next week you'll be able to make the full payment of $1,500, correct?
Yeah, if you can definitely help me out and keep my spot in there, because I can't wait anymore. My business, I need to get the marketing on Instagram. I need to get it out there. But yes, if you can hold that spot for me, yeah, I'll show up. I'll have the money ready because I get paid and I'll be ready to go
Okay, and you get paid next week. What day is it again?
next Friday.
Next Friday. Okay. So you mean to tell me, and then we can go into the whole scenario that I just played out right now, but that's the lockdown technique or the micro commitments. And what you want them to do, and the way that this works very effectively, is that you're walking somebody psychologically into making that commitment. So in their mind, they've already made that commitment, and it's almost like programming them to say, hey, you're going to have to be here next week. And from there, you really don't need more than just one or two follow-ups to say, hey, man, just thought about you. I saw this video. Have a great weekend. Anything that you want to do, like today's Thursday, I would send them something like that the very following day. The video was not my idea. That was Cole's idea. But I would definitely send out something like a text message and say, hey, man, I hope you have a great weekend. I'm excited for your business. And, I look forward to speaking with you next Friday. Is there anything else that you need from me now that I've given you the bonuses? And that way, answer or ending it in a question would get him to engage back with me, right? He would say, oh yeah, no, I think I got everything. Man, I was going through the materials and I'm excited about this. And if you get that kind of reaction, chances are he's not gonna, um, uh, you know, turn away the offer, you know what I mean, when you call him next Friday. But you have to take them through those micro commitments. You have to take them through that lockdown process. Otherwise, it will be a ghosting situation. But even the greatest thing about the lockdown technique is that at the end, once you're about to get a hold of them, Cole would typically like send me a message like, dude, you know what? Something came out in emergency and I just don't have the funds. And you can say, no worries, man. If I can send you, if I can get you in on the 15th and we could still hold it, do you think that you have a deposit? And just keep moving it from there moving forward. But at least because he feels like the pressure, in other words, it's almost like putting a time clock inside of Cole's head saying, hey man, I'm going to call you on this day, and then you set it off. And the closer it gets to that day, the more he starts remembering that that call is going to come up. So even if he can't make it, he's going to say, man, I got to get a hold of Virgil before he gets a hold of me, man. I don't want to disappoint him. And he'll come in like that. He'll be like, dude, I was really looking forward to this, man. I got through the bonuses. I really appreciate this. It doesn't look like I got the money though. Something came up, and you just go back to the follow-up. No worries, man. What if I can get you in? Can you put down a deposit? Is there some amount that you can put down? And if he says yeah, then that's how you get them in. Otherwise, you're going to have to nurture that for a little while. But at least you did everything you could on the call to set it up so that your follow-up is a lot less rigorous. In other words, it's going to be a lot easier. And so now we're going to go into that. But if anybody has any questions surrounding that, please feel free to put in the comment section. I would love to go through that. So follow-up should never be because of a mishandled, unaddressed objection. Yeah, correct. So one of the techniques that I will teach later on is how to prevent the objections. And it's more like handling the objections before they come up as a question. And whenever you're on an opportunity, you'll notice that most of the objections are they're very familiar. You're not going to see anything outside of the ordinary. It's always going to be the same thing over and over again. So what I do at the beginning of the call is I kind of throw that in, like, you know what, typically people will say that they don't have enough money, but then when they don't realize like what resources they have out there, and I'll kind of give them like an idea of how to get OPM, other people's money, as an example, and then bring them back to like, how could you at the end when they say, yeah, I don't have enough money. So yeah, I get that a lot. But I mean, think about it. If John had not invested into this program, he would not be doing as good as he is today. Do you remember that testimonial? And if they go back to it, they'll say, yeah, and they'll start trying to digging for it, but it's more about like getting their interest level back up where they get it back into the buying signs. The lockdown method. Yep. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take you to a few things that it's going to work. And I'm not actually like a copywriter, just so everybody knows. I've picked it up from a lot of brothers and sisters from our community, and I appreciate each and every one of them because they have helped me in my follow-up and also in my conversion. Believe it or not, most of the conversion that we come up with is going to be in our follow-up, especially the higher the ticket the item is, the more follow-up is required. So I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to get into this. Let's take a look here. So I got here. Well, let's go into the copywriting basics. So these are some of the things that I was able to find that would help each and every one of you. If you're not a copywriter and you're not looking to take a course, this is something that kind of gets you just to kind of dial it in so that you can work on your opportunity. Now, keep in mind that every opportunity is going to be different depending on if it's B2B to B2C. Like, for example, on a B2C opportunity, what I like to do is I typically like to send out something motivational for them, because in a B2C discussion or in a conversation, it's typically a lower self situation that we're going through. And I want to make sure, I'm going to move this over here real quick, but I want to make sure that they understand like what it is that we're like some kind of encouragement. So like what Cole actually suggested is probably top notch. The best thing that you could do is send out a video of yourself saying something very nice to someone in an email or in a text message, letting them see it, or even like on Messenger, like he suggested. Me personally, like I would typically send out something motivational, like if I saw a motivational speech and it was something along the lines of what they were talking about inside of the call, I would send them one of those things, because what it does is it encourages them, it helps them feel better, and then they say, man, I really needed this, I really appreciate it, thank you for this. So really great. So you know what, I'm going to have to let me see here. Something is not right. I'm getting a little bit quirky here on everything. Hold on. Uh, should be on. Okay, that's what happened. Sorry about that. I was on screen. I was on the wrong screen. So here we go. I did that last week too. I gotta get used to that. All right. So
It's all right.
the copywriting basics. Um, One of the things that I've learned is that if you use certain threads, or it doesn't have to be Reddit, that was just one of the things that I had picked up. But it could be like, let's say, for example, if you're in a Facebook group and you see like common things that are mentioned that people that get people's attention. Let's say, for example, like one of the biggest things in Facebook is going to be affiliate marketing. And in affiliate marketing, I noticed that one of the biggest things that they always do is they have messages that they put out where it says, hey, how would you like to make a couple $1,000s a week? Put in the comment section. And a lot of people will do that, effortlessly or something like that. But it's along the lines of a hook and marketing, that we can help you out with us. We can give you a solution to what you're looking for, but looking for those things kind of gives you an idea like what works as far as your niche. So whatever it is that you're following up with, you want to make sure that you're very familiar with that. Of course, if you're on an opportunity that already has closers, my favorite thing to do is I go to the number one closer, whoever that is, and I go to them and I say, hey, when you do your follow up, how do you do that? And typically they'll share with me some of their materials, and then I'll customize it and personalize it for myself. Also, if your opportunity has a CRM, chances are the influencer, the business owner, whatever you want to call them, has all of the materials already inputted, and in fact they make it very easy for you so you don't have to do the follow-up. But in some cases, like myself, when I first started out on opportunities, it was always with somebody that was in the startup phase. So it wasn't like I could just, ask them for emails. In most cases, they won't have any. So what I would do is I would develop my own, and I had other people that I would draw off of to help me out. But this is going to be kind of like a quick guide to help you to develop your own. So the first thing that we need to talk about is a headline. The headline is extremely important, mainly because if you don't catch their attention on the headline, if you don't hook them with the headline, then they're not going to read the email. So the very first thing that they're going to look at is a headline. It's very important to get their attention immediately with the headline. And again, that's something that you want to customize according to whatever it is that you're offering as a closer. But if you do things like this, just so you're aware, with the startup influencer, they're willing to pay you or compensate you for the work that you're doing, because they realize that you get paid on commissions, and what you're doing is you're almost like developing the standard operating procedures for their company, and that's something that in most cases they don't have time for. So when you're giving them these materials, like what I would do is just draw up something and say, hey, what do you think about this one? If I shared it with your audience, do you think it might work? And either they might have a suggestion, but either way, they notice that you're giving the time and effort to put into it, and so they're willing to compensate you for that, which has happened to me very many times, and I'm grateful for that. But just so you know, it's all about adding value first, of course, as a remote sales closer. Um, and with the headlines, there's a lot of trial and error. Like there's things that have worked and things that have haven't. And there's several different platforms where you can actually track them. Like they have email tracker, which I believe is like $10 a month. And what it does is it tells you what click rates there are. If you're using a CRM, you personally, like with HubSpot, it actually tells you what they clicked on, what they opened. Like if you have videos in there, you have testimonials, different links that you have inside of there. It'll tell you specifically which ones you have, which is really, really great. But in most cases, you can use something along the lines of GMass, email tracker. I think they have MailChimp, which I've never actually used myself. I'm currently using it, but I'm not a big fan. I'll be honest about that. But all of those different platforms will definitely give you feedback on what you need to change. I think that's very important for you as a professional closer to ensure that you have one of those systems in place. It doesn't matter which one it is. Um, so your headline wants to be, it has to be something very short and sweet, or in some cases, it can be something very, very specific. Like if you know that it's a target audience that you're targeting, and they're very warm, or even if they're cold, you want to make it specific so that it targets them and they open it up and read more into it. Like, for example, I have there with 20 minutes a day, you can easily 4x your Facebook engagement using this two-step process. And anybody that's looking to get more engagement on Facebook that wants organic traffic, immediately they're going to open that up and say, okay, let's see what we got. If they don't know what they're doing, like myself, at some point I didn't know what I was doing, I would definitely click on that. Um, Another example that I have is I struggle with productivity until I did this, and it's kind of like a cliffhanger, right? You're like, wait, what did you do to be more productive? And so they'll open it up, but that's the whole purpose. If you go through all of these, you'll notice that they all have their own certain, um, you could say like a hook. John's business struggled until he read this email, and then they open it up and say, okay, let's see what John did, and of course it's going to have John's story in there. Please read carefully. That's something that catches a lot of people's attention, where they think it's something serious, like it might be a bill, it might be a collection, something serious, right? It's telling them you have to open this up. Please read carefully. Action needed. Those are two very good hook headlines that I've used that have actually worked really, really well. Did you have anything that you would want to add to this, Cole, that you've seen in the past, maybe?
I don't have any specific like headlines that I'd use to give quote of right now. However, I do want to key on the fact that, guys, what he's talking about right now is a huge deal. It is so powerful, and don't take this lightly. This is some good stuff that he's talking about, and it's going to increase the open rate of your emails or your messages or your whatever you're doing to engage with people. By doing this and following this method that he's teaching you right now, it's definitely going to increase your open rate. So keep it up, Virgil.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask inside of the comment section. That's why me and Cole are here. We want to make sure that you have absolute clarity on any of these things. So then we go into what they call the slippery slide, and it's typically it's going to be like your first line that takes you to the next line that takes you to the next line. In other words, it keeps getting you deeper and deeper into what we would consider the sales pitch, but to them it's not a sales pitch. It's more of a written piece. But you want to make it interesting. You want to make it more interesting as they get deeper. In some cases, like when you start off with a hook. Um, so your first line should be a strong lead. And I have another document where I'm going to show you all of this. Actually, I'll just pull that up right now. So like, let's say, for example, right here, the subject line, how did John beat cancer? And then your first line should be, and in some cases, like inside of the email, you could put a line that follows the subject line, but it's not part of the email. In other words, you can make that aside, or if you just make that your first line after hello prospect, then you go through that. So there's three different methods that I'm actually showing right here. And this is what we're getting into is the mini stories. Also, we're getting into, let's see, nope, I think it's just the mini story. And then what was the other stuff? Mini story, oh, using a testimonial, which is the same thing as a mini story. And then also adding the free value inside of there. So all of these things, I coupled them all together because I knew that we were going to be short on time. But this should be a good guide for you. So if you're just looking at the document, it may not make sense. You might want to go back into this video and just watch here. It's about 45 minutes in, but right here is a mini story. And so what it says is you only need to know two things which will help you to turn your health around. And if cancer can be beaten, so can any other problems you may have. And you could even put bullets like diabetes, blood pressure, because if it's like a cold outreach, especially, you want to make sure that you do that. But that's kind of like, I kind of coupled those with the follow up as well, just so you're aware, like if you have to do a cold outreach. Then it says, hello, John, or hello, Cole. Before one of our, this is called the before, after, and then what they would say about it using a testimonial. So one of our first clients who was very skeptical was John, but once he started the results, it changed his perspective and he found hope in a full recovery with his cancer. And it's been 5 years, and John just reported with us that his health has never been better. And in fact, John has enrolled three more of his family members, and here's his testimonial. Take a look, and then you can plug in the testimonial right there. But what it does is it shows credibility, proof, and it also builds up rapport. So if somebody's going through a health issue, whatever it is, they're going to say, yeah, that's something that I need help with. But you notice that I'm bringing them deeper inside of the conversation, inside of the email, to ensure that they keep reading. So then it says, and he did it using these two steps I'm about to share with you. A free life-changing gift for you, and then you're going to add your link. They open up the link, they read through, it, and they're like, "Wow, this is amazing." It's something that gets them very engaged. It nurtures them or it warms them up, and then you want to go to the next line. And this is just one of the thousands of members who went through our program. Going back to the credibility, maybe you are perfectly healthy, but you know somebody who can benefit from. And then I have them listed here: liver failure, kidney failure, high low blood pressure, diabetes, cancer. Now, keep in mind, I hope you're vetting these opportunities to ensure that they are um, that they are what's the word moral. Make sure that, of course, the opportunity that you're on. I know that a lot of this stuff sounds like pseudoscience or something like that. But this is actually one of the programs that I've closed for. It's a real product. It's been out in the real world, slowly moving into the virtual world. But this is something that can actually benefit people. And in most cases, especially when you have pharmaceuticals, and I don't want to get political or anything, but when it comes to pharmaceuticals, they want to have the ace on the market. So they make sure that they're putting out their products and that nothing else is seen, especially if it's natural. Um, so if you knew there was a solution, would you keep it to yourself or share it as I'm sharing it here with you? If you're not sure how to, let me know and I can help you out with that. And so this would be more of like a cold process of nurturing that relationship, getting them to reach out to you and say, hey, you know what? I have a sister, but we're not really close. Do you think you can talk to her? I still care about her. I just haven't had that close of a relationship with her. Yeah, sure, not a problem. What's her name? Let me see that, blah, blah, blah. And then that's a way to get them to engage back to you, even if they're not interested. It's almost like pulling out prospects from just the one that you reached out to. Now, of course, it's going to vary depending on what kind of opportunity you have, but no matter, regardless, it's going to nurture that lead, whoever it is that you're sending it to. But if you can get them going deeper and deeper into the email, even if they don't benefit from it, and they know somebody that can, they'll reach out to them, and of course, or reach out to you and say, hey, you know what? If you could, can you talk to this person because it's something that they're dealing with? And that's exactly what you want to do, especially in a cold process. So, Cole, anything you want to add to that, brother?
Yeah, I think that's really good, actually. I don't really have too much to add to it. I like the process that you have in this copy. This is good. Obviously, I'm sure everyone, but I'm going to mention it, that what he's talking about here is you could use the same method, the principle, the concept behind it, and put your product or your service you're selling in those spots. And just so that way you're not thinking, okay, well, I'm not in liver, I'm not in kidney stuff, I'm not in about health, pharmaceutical. It's okay. It's the concept, the principle behind it that really matters. That's all I
Yeah,
got.
absolutely. You're gonna customize it to whatever opportunity that you have. But right there, I was showing you the mini stories. Using simple words is also one thing that's very important. Not getting too sophisticated in your dialogue. Just talk like a normal person. Layman's terms, as they say. In most cases, some of those big words you'll lose people. Um, Using short sentences is best for readability. So making sure that it's very short and sweet. If you look at these, most of these are very, very short. Whenever I tell a story, I do get a lot more elaborate, but for the purpose of this training, I just want to make sure that I get the points across. And so I kind of simplified everything, but typically I would have a lot more details about John's recovery and what he had to go through and his whole journey and how it helped him out in the very end. Then we have, of course, the fear of missing out is more for whenever you have like a follow-up. I would typically use it for anything that doesn't have to do with like health problems. Of course, it would be more something along the lines of making more money, being more productive, helping your mindset out. But some of the things that you would use, Cole, like for fear of missing out, have you ever used fear of missing out in any of your emails or in your calls?
Sort of, yes. Actually, I kind of use them more on the back end. So I will follow up with them maybe one or two times. And then on the third follow up, I'd kind of mention that, you know, what I'm talking about, Virgil, of urgency and scarcity. You kind of bring that in, and that could be one of the methods of urgency or scarcity is the fear of missing out. And I would use that in that situation.
Yeah, great. Yeah. And so that email that I had showed you actually had the slippery slope. That was another one. And then the hook, of course, was this line up here right before the hello. This would be like your hook to get them to keep reading forward. But the one thing that you want to know about the hook is that it's something that gets them moving forward. So what I do is I kind of put out a solution like right at the very beginning, or like a problem that they're trying to solve, and you say, yeah, now I'm going to talk about this inside of this email. And what that does is it gets them, okay, let's go. And then even inside of the email, like if it's not your first liner, you can say, I'll tell you more about that. But first, I just wanted to share John's story with you, and then go over the testimonial. And then, or it'll say like, if you start out with, by the end of this email, the post or letter, it just depends on if you're using Facebook or whatever, you'll know how to, you know, solve a problem or achieve a certain goal. And that's definitely a good way to get people to read, uh, get your click rates up, also get them to get more engaged. Now I do have another one here which is called ida. That's a very commonly used technique inside of copywriting, which stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. And there's something here at the end that I'm going to show you, which is the benefits over feature. But in the ida technique, what you do is you use a subject line. Doesn't this resonate with you? Something along the lines of just getting them to open up, of course, the email, and then you use their first name. Hey, John, I'm sure if you've seen it already. I'm not sure if you've seen it already, but I thought of you when I saw the short video, and that's what I was talking about, the motivational videos that I would put out there, or something that resonated with them. Like if we had some a discussion during our call, like if it had to do with hunting, fishing, shooting guns, politics, anything like that that resonated with them. And you say, hey, did you see this video, man? I watched it and I cringed, man, when I watched this stuff. And they'd be like, yeah, I did see that movie, or not movie, but the video. Or no, I'm glad that you shared that with me. Thanks for that, man. Where'd you get it from? And then you could talk to them about whatever it is. But it definitely does help build that stronger rapport when you're not with them on the phone call while you're following up with them. And this is, of course, in most scenarios where you're going to nurture that prospect when they say, you know what, it's going to be about a month before I can get it, but I'm going to be there, man. I promise you. I just got to get that money in my pocket. And once I do, I'm going to move forward. So hello, John. This is the most inspirational video I've ever seen. Just an example. Here's a video. You link it there, and then the best part is we can help you with this. If it's something like, let's say, for example, mindset. Let's say, for example, somebody has a stutter, and we've helped out people with the stutter. That's something we would do. I'm referencing actually Tony Robbins. I don't know if you knew that. Have you guys ever seen that video? But he helps out with a gentleman who's had a stutter all of his life, and he solves it like in 7 minutes or something like that. It's amazing. It's incredible. And then just like hundreds of others, you can have, and then you list whatever goals, whatever achievements they have, whatever struggles, overcoming any struggles that they have. And then what's holding you back? Let's get started. That's the call to action at the very end, or the action step you want to throw in there. Of course, this is just an example. I would not throw that in, of course, with a B2C, but definitely if it has to do with progressing, making more money, any of these things, then you would say, let's get started. And then here's a link to either book a call with me, or of course the payment link. But that's the IDA approach. And you can use that. You can look up actually different videos on doing that. But I do recommend that if you are going to be closing, again, probably half of your conversions are going to come from the follow-up. And the more higher ticket it is, it's going to be a lot more follow-up. So I recommend that you invest highly. If you can't invest the money, invest your time on finding these things out. Start developing your own library, which I did promise you last week, but I thought I'd hold off on that because I wanted to get the basic concept across. And I, just so you're aware, I am going to have another guest that has been doing copywriting professionally now for quite a while, for our next week's call. That will not be inside of the group. That'll be on my Facebook profile page. So we're going to do that, and I'll announce that, of course, probably next Wednesday. But now going into the benefits over the features. Now, if you've ever seen benefits, it's usually whenever you're buying a package, or I'm sorry, let's say, for example, if you're going to, for like here, us in the US, we have Home Depot, right? And it's essentially everything having to do with home care. So it's anything from construction to tools to supplies, plumbing, electrical, just about anything you can think of for your house. That's what they have. But you'll notice that whenever you're reading the package material, it talks about all of the dimensions, titanium alloy, guarantee for 10 years, toughest steel, um, non-slip grips. I'm talking about pliers, of course, adjustable for hand size, whatever, the soft grips, and it's just all features. It's not really about the benefits. So what you do, if you, let's say, for example, if you're on an opportunity and they give you all of the features, and if you're emerald or you're very analytical, of course you're going to look at this stuff and say, oh yeah, those are good, features to have on it. I'm going to include that inside of the email. But the best way to write this so that it attracts somebody's attention is turn it into a benefit. So let's see here. Right here, we got 90-day program, 1 hour a day. So turn your health around within 90 days, only spending 1 hour a day, rather than saying, look, it's a 90-day program, 1 hour a day. Instead of listing them off, put it in a sentence that makes perfect sense to them to move forward. Now we have here no wait times. I think I threw in there full support. And what it does is it also shortens it up. Not only builds up their interest, but it also shortens up your bullets. You're our first priority, which means as soon as you have a question, we'll have an answer for you within 24 hours. And then we got the Facebook group and the lifetime access. Rather than just listing those, you say you're not alone when joining our lifetime. You're not alone when you join our lifetime access Facebook community with all of our members, which means you can come back anytime you need support, because you always have people that are leaving and then they want to come back later on. No problem. We will accommodate you for that. And then I have here some examples of the fear of missing out. But if anybody has any questions about these, what do you think, Cole, so far?
Uh, yeah, so we actually had a question. I believe it's Bart. Please, I hope I'm saying your name right. He asked, I like this style of copy for a B2C product.
Mhm.
Can I use it? Can I use a similar style of writing for B2B follow-up emails?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All of these things can be transferable. And this was just like a layout and a theme that I picked, but you can change it into whatever it is. I mean, let's say, for example, if it's business coaching, you want to just think about business coaching and insert whatever lines that you want to. But that's the thing about copywriting is it's just like closing. It's a skill that you have to develop, and the first copy that you ever write is never going to be as nice as the last one that you've ever written. It'll be nostalgic, that's for sure, but the more you work on it, the more you'll realize and the more you'll get from it. But in my opinion, when you know closing techniques, when you know how the psychology works and how the physiology works, you can transfer all of these different techniques into copy. And then the more you write them, the more familiar you'll be with the copy, and you'll be able to deliver something that's very powerful. And like I said, the feedback will always be in the clicks that you get from the emails. So um, I would recommend networking with any brothers and sisters. Like, let's say, for example, you have a piece of copy. If you know anybody personally that is inside of copywriting, or if you want to just post it here inside of this group, say, hey, man, I came up with this copy. I think that would be a great addition to the group. Just write your copy, put it in there, let other people revise it. Try not to make it so embarrassing where you're, just like ridiculing or, butchering the whole paper. If it's posted in the group, I would recommend that we reach out individually, like on a DM, on a personal message. Hey, Bart, I saw your email. Do you mind? I don't know if you've gotten help already, but do you mind if I give you some help with that? And then he'd be like, yeah, sure, no problem. You jump in there and you say, look, this is what I would do, XYZ. Try that out, see how that works. And then, of course, like I said, your feedback is going to be that email tracker to make sure that you see if they're actually clicking it on or not. But it is a lot of trial and error, especially if you've never ever done anything before. But again, once you start getting good at this, you'll double your conversion rate easily with your email. If you're able to do the lockdown method and then go into the follow up, it'll be a lot easier to lock them down. In other words, they'll definitely come back. Not 100%, but it's going to be a lot more likely. For sure, it'll double your conversion versus just people getting off of the phone and then you never follow up with them again. You're cutting your conversions in half. You're just hurting yourself in that process. Um, but yeah, if you ever like, I have a library myself, but I decided to hold back on that because I wanted to bring our next guest on there and then release it with him so that you can take a look at some of these examples. But yeah, definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to approach me, ask me, or anybody else that that knows about copywriting. They'd be more than happy to help you. Okay, so we're pretty much out of time. What I would like to do is just touch on this real quick, on the fear of missing out. It's basically just getting them to understand, look, there's only limited seats, which I use with Cole inside of the call. That's very important. The price will be going up. I'm not sure if we're going to hold that price for the next season. So just so you're aware, you will be investing more money. But like I said, it's still a great deal because you're still going to get XYZ, which is problem or solving their problem, like helping them get closer to their goal. We only have certain amount numbers left, or that would be seats, I guess. It is only for a limited time. After this, we're actually not going to be around till next summer, something along those lines. Of course, make sure that it's genuine and true. Don't just make things up. But these techniques do work. The door closes on whatever date. And after that, you're going to have to wait maybe 2 to 3 months before you can get into the next one, which could, and I like to throw in implications, which we'll talk about another time. But I'll say, which means that rather than taking off right now and making you that profit that you're looking for within the next 30 days, now you're going to have to wait another 90 days before you may see some profits. So that's a little bit of scarcity, a little bit of that fear of missing out. And it does get them to think, you know what, maybe I should take action right now. And sometimes some people just need that little nudge. And then once they get that nudge, I know for some people it seems kind of snakish, but it really isn't. You're helping them out because some people cannot make that decision and they procrastinate. And procrastination doesn't come from making a bad decision. It really comes from limiting beliefs. It comes from other things. And that's another discussion that we'll have here in the future. But these are all great techniques to use. The higher the ticket is, the less of the fear of missing out you're going to want to use. Unless it's true. Like for example, I was on a high ticket offer that was 36,000. I was telling them, hey man, you might want to move quickly because by next month, believe it or not, it's going to be $45,000. And they're like, no. And I said, hey, there's only one way to find out, either the hard way or you could just subscribe now, and that way you don't have to find out the hard way. And unfortunately, they found out the hard way, but they're like, man, I really wish I could have taken action when I did. I said, yeah, well, you know what? Let me talk to the business owner, see if we can get it to you at that deal. If he says yes, are you still going to move forward? It's still a sell. But it does help create that fear of missing out. And when you follow up, it does give you a lot of leverage. It gives you a lot of power because now they're like, man, I'm at Virgil's mercy now. I'm not going to be able to get this at 45,000. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to do something to come up with the rest of the money. And in some cases, if the business owner says nope, it's got to be $45,000, then you just negotiate. Hey, what if we made it easy for you? Made it so that you can pay the rest of the money later on. How would that Would that work for you? Because no matter what, you know that this is going to be a solution that's going to help you, right, to get to XYZ. Yeah, that's something I'd be willing to do. And I do that as part of the lockdown. So it's almost like, if I negotiate the lower price, will you say yes? Yes. Okay. If I negotiate and I'm turned down, would you still be willing to do it? As long as we make it easy for you to pay that the rest of the amount off, is that okay for you? And more than likely they'll say, yeah, either way, I'm going to move forward for it. Okay, great. And then you got them locked down. And then you get the deposit, of course. But that's it for today. Let's see. It is. I'll write a couple of new emails. Tomorrow I might even post one or two of them this weekend in the group. Okay, great. I love it, Bart. Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Messenger. Thank you again, Cole. Anything you want to add or anything you want to plug, like uh, anything that we can help you out with here from this group?
No, Virgil, I think you did phenomenal. Some of the value that you dropped was massive, very valuable, very amazing. I hope that it didn't just fly over anybody's head. Some of the stuff that he was talking about was really high end, and definitely, like he said, by implementing what he just taught you will increase your conversions. He's absolutely right. 100%. It definitely will. Having that hook, having the good copy, making it easy to read, everything, the role play that we did, everything, definitely valuable. And I thank you, Virgil, for having me on here. I'm honored, and I definitely look forward to connecting with you and your team even more.
Yeah, likewise, brother. Thanks again for joining me. And one more time, I want to encourage you, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. The information is in the description. Also, if you can, give a heart to this post and also share it with anybody that you know that it might benefit. That will definitely help us out in this group. I can see it growing very quickly, and I see a lot of great things happening with this group. But I want to encourage everyone to never give up, because believe it or not, closing is the foundational work to what we do as entrepreneurs. So this is only one stepping stone or a milestone before we get to those real big successes. But if you can get good at closing, you're going to be great at everything else. It's going to be, if you build yourself a strong foundation, which in my opinion is going to be your mindset, and then you build closing techniques on top of that, you're going to be an amazing successful entrepreneur. Also, don't forget, if you need help with opportunities, I have the YouTube video that helps you with LinkedIn engagement. And just so you know, that's more for anybody that doesn't have experience, because it does draw in some unqualified influencers with the qualified, but it gives you an opportunity to find out where the lies are. And when you start on opportunities, you're not burning your reputation as a closer, as a professional on those opportunities, and you're able to learn at a lot quicker pace. And I think coupled with this Facebook group, it's going to be an amazing experience for you. And if you need one step further, you want to get to those opportunities a lot quicker, where it's putting money in your pocket, check out influencersunlimited.com, which is also in the description section. But I think that's it, man. And Cole, again, once more, I appreciate you on short notice showing up on this show and adding massive value to this group, man. And let us know how we can return the favor, brother. Please.
Let us know. I appreciate you guys. Just keep being awesome. I love y'all. We're a family here. If we're not friends on Facebook, my name is Cole A. Randall. Add me as a friend. You got me here. I put some comments in this video. Add me as a friend. I'd love to connect with you guys more, guys and gals. Thank you so much, Virgil. I love you, brother.
All right, love you too, brother. You guys take care, and we'll see you next week. It's gonna be, we're gonna have a special guest, and it's gonna be on my Facebook profile on copywriting specifically. So I look forward to seeing you guys, and have a great weekend. Cheers, guys. Take care.